So I studied science at university, left university, went off, didn't quite know what I wanted to do, went off and taught English in Japan for a couple of years, which was a great experience, and came back and had always worked in shops, been working in shops since I was about 14, and had worked all through university in local delis and in stores. So thought, well, I'll have a look at retail. So I applied to a number of graduate programmes, interestingly not Tesco for some reason, can't remember why, and I was accepted on the ASDA graduate scheme. I was at ASDA for about 18 months, but I think because of having done the 2 years in Japan, I had a lot of friends who were in London now, who were doing the business thing, and a lot of friends who'd sort of gone down to London, so I quite fancied trying that out, and was quite keen to sort of more develop my business acumen further. So I applied to a company called Ernst & Young, big accountancy house, but they also had a management consultancy division at that time. And I joined Ernst & Young on a development programme for management consultancy, and spent about 4 years there, specialised in retail consultancy. Came to Tesco as part of a project that a company called Gemini Consulting were working on. And then Capgemini acquired the company that I worked for, so we became Capgemini Ernst & Young, and now you'll know it as Capgemini. So I joined, I came on an engagement to Tesco with Capgemini, really enjoyed it, and then was fortunate enough to be asked whether I would like to join the company to be part of the first operations development team, which was a team of about 10 people working for David Hobbs, who is now on the exec, and in that team there were Simon Belsham, myself, Neil Adams, Neela Mukherjee before she left. She was part of that original team. I did a number of sort of big change programs, mostly focused on availability work. At the time we'd just rolled out CR as our ordering system, and it's fair to say that the stores were struggling and our availability was pretty bad. So I did quite a lot of work on availability projects. Then I went quickly out to Japan for a few months when we bought the business out there to help them set up. I had the opportunity to stay, and there was a role for me in Japan, or there was an option for me to come back and manage a store in the UK. So I took that option, believe it or not. I took that option, and I did about a 3-month bridging programme, and then I went into Hammersmith Brook Green Superstore, which at the time was classed as a support store. So it meant it was just a little bit more challenging for a number of factors, most notably in Hammersmith because it had the biggest .com participation in any store in the company at that time, and it was actually where .com started, where the first trial was run. So a challenging store, but a great store. I did about a year in there, and then was asked to attend a store director academy, and I participated in that, and was asked then to I was promoted then to become a store director for the Express format, and I moved with my husband from London up to Manchester, and I was store director in Express for about 4 years, covering quite a large part of the country during that time, so got a good understanding of what customers and colleagues all across the UK want from the company and want from life, probably one of the biggest things I learned. And then returned into the head office for a year doing some more strategic work for the Express format, a project that lasted about 12 months. Then I moved full circle right back to be the Operations Development Director, but this time for a much bigger team and quite more diverse in terms of the work that Ops Dev at that point were doing. And then was in Ops Dev for a couple of years, led Listen and Fix and better service initiatives and the PI work, and then was promoted to business leader in 2012 for the support office, and I did that for a couple of years, including some time off from my second maternity leave, and then returned in June of this year to move completely out of ops into the marketing arena, where I now find myself in marketing as the customer experience and insight director. So well, that's about as quick as I can go. So I'm often asked if I had a strong career plan, and I I will say I didn't really, but I'm not sure if that's entirely true given the things that I've done. What I would say is I've always been very interested in doing different things and challenging things. So when given the opportunity, for example, to leave head office and go out and run a store, I was quite up for it. I thought that would be a really good challenge, and I also thought it would give me an understanding of retail operations, to then work out whether retail ops was somewhere that I thought my career would be. I have to say though, I never thought I would stay in retail ops for whatever it ended up being, 8-10 years. When I first went out to manage Hammersmith, that wasn't really on my radar, but I enjoyed it. I got the opportunity to be an SD, so I thought, well, I'll give it a go. I really enjoyed that, and probably didn't expect to do 4 years as a store director, moving away from London, moving away from head office, but it was a great role. So what do I look for? I always look for good challenge and the opportunity to do something a little bit different from what might be the obvious, and then if I'm enjoying it, I tend to just go with the flow and see what happens next. Yes, yeah, I mean these. When I explain it to people now, people will say, as you did, wow, that's very varied. For me, it just didn't, you just get an opportunity and you take it. It's only 15 years later that you look back and go, well, okay, I guess it is quite varied. Okay, so customer experience and insight director, what does it entail? I think in terms of the way the team's structured, we are there to listen to customers fundamentally and to help the business understand customers better than no one else. And as part of understanding customers, you have to understand the world in which they live, whether that's societal and demographic insight, or whether that's how they're shopping with us. And it's our job to take that insight and help the business use it to think. So I sort of go listen, think, think through what is it that we want to do for our customers to improve the business, to get it right, to be front foot in terms of customer innovation. And then I sort of go, it's listen, think and act. So I have teams that are also there to test things, but they're not the only teams that test customer solutions. They are part of. So I sort of go, you've got a listening channel because I run the Dundee and Cardiff customer service centres. I also have customer insight led by Dan Elton in my world. Then you've got a bit of a think area with I run customer strategy and investment, which is Jessica Frame's team, and also customer experience team, Katie Wady's team, and I have the call centres run by Ian, and then we have opportunities to take action because Katie's team will be doing customer experience trials, etc., working quite closely with Helen Gales in the support office and other areas. And I also have a big push into community work through Greg Sage, who's part of my world, who leads the community team, which is sometimes often seen as, oh, I didn't expect that to be in customer experience, but we're very clear now that our customers expect Tesco to do not only good things in terms of how they deliver the shopping trip, but they also have a very high expectation about how they support their local community. And that all goes towards how they feel about the brand. And so therefore all the good work we do on charity, Farm to Fork, the Eat Happy initiative, work that we're doing with new charity partners such as the British Heart Foundation, local community boards, all of that also sits within my area. So you've kind of got this listen, think, act is the way I try to think about it. Our customers at the moment are living in quite a complex world. It's very, life is really busy. That's probably one thing that's coming through thick and fast in our research, that people are extremely busy. And I'm sure if you think about yourself, you can completely recognise that. So they're looking for as much help as they can get with sort of minimising just that feeling of kind of stress and needing to go shop in different places. So our opportunity is to help them feel like they can get what they are looking for under the one roof of Tesco. And that's a combination of things that we need to improve. So we need to improve our value for money offer. We need to do more innovative things to show them that we can help that with this challenge of time and feeling very stressed. And we can also do a lot around just some of the core basics of the good shopping trip, availability, queuing, great service. And then we need to do more work to align all of the numerous great Tesco offers so that our customers experience it similarly, but whether they're in the shop, on the .com site, on the GMO website, meeting through the bank, or wherever they touch the Tesco name, our job is to make sure that that experience is joined up and feels like you're working with one company rather than sometimes what they tell us is feels like there's like 5 Tesco's to me. I think what you have to recognise is you have to decide what type of leader you want to be. It won't just come naturally, and also being good at the job, delivering the numbers, for example, is not leadership in my mind. So you have to kind of think about the 2 areas. For me as a store director, I had a couple of ambitions: to deliver a very strong steering wheel, but mostly to have an excellent viewpoint and an excellent customer viewpoint, or the equivalent at that time. And it's not the what that's important as you get more senior, it's the how that you do things. So for me, I think you need to decide early what you want to be known as. So as a leader, what do you want the people who work for you or with you or alongside you to say about you if you weren't in the room? And therefore it'll be very easy for you to then work through how you manage and how you lead a team and how you communicate and the things that are necessary to deliver the job. The job is not just what you need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about the leader that you wish to be. I think so. Work-life balance. I mean, it's a big term that's always talked about, and I'm very fortunate in my position that my husband and I made a decision some time ago that he would stay at home with our children, which makes life a little bit easier in terms of not having to think about drop-offs, pick-ups, and after-school clubs, etc. However, it doesn't mean it's also not a challenge, because as a working mum, I think there's additional expectations on working mums. But for me, it's important that as a mother and as a wife and as a daughter and as a sister, I know what I want to give to my family, and I work hard to make sure that I can deliver against that as well as deliver my job. So, I won't miss a parents' night, I won't miss a sports day, I will make sure that I take my son to school at least once a week. I'll get home for tea one evening. There's other things that I'll just make sure that you have to pick and choose between sort of work commitments and life commitments and try and balance it all. It's not that easy, but I think again it's a little bit similar to the question I answered around leadership. You have to kind of be very clear in your own mind about what you want to be as a mum and make sure that you do that. The challenge then is to not look at everybody else and wonder, oh, I'm not as good as them, or they seem to be able to like bake cakes, do the parties, because I just have to accept that's never going to be me. But I'll be doing lots of other things that will be a good role model for my children. I might not be able to be the mum that always makes the cakes for the cake sale, but I'll be able to do other things, and you have to not give yourself all this mind talk about how everybody else is doing it, and just be very clear on whether you're doing it to the way you wish. So I was delighted to be asked to sponsor the community. Obviously, as a original Ops Dever, it wasn't called that at the time, but that is the history of my arrival at Tesco, was into that team. So I was really pleased to be asked. And the reason why I'm pleased to be asked is because some of the challenges that the company face are, they're very significant. But I do think that we can make life better for customers through very clever thinking behind the scenes. And that very clever thinking requires the skill set that an operations improvement community has and that you're all working to develop. We have huge, our cost base at Tesco is vast and deep. The clever thing is to make sure that we mine the right seams in order to free up the necessary investments to make what matters for customers the right things. So that's why I was keen, because I've always been seen as a little bit unusual in that I'm a passionate customer advocate, but also have done years of step change. And I want people to recognise that you can do both, which is why I was pleased to be asked, because it is possible to find operational improvements that are the right ones, that allow us to free up investment to make life better for customers and colleagues. And that's why I wanted to be, I think for many people they know that I have an ops dev background, but many don't. And I thought that was quite encouraging, that they'd think, well, wait a minute, we've got someone from the marketing leadership team sponsoring our programme. That's a bit unusual. And because I want to sort of send that message that this skill set is a really valid skill set, and particularly has never been needed as much as it is needed now in the business.